All right, welcome to Foundations of Math in Pre-Cal 10. This is outcome 10.07 on slope, and this is lesson 2, the rate of change formula to calculate slope. So in lesson 1, we looked at calculating slope from a graph and counting the rise and the run. Sometimes we don't always want to draw a graph because maybe that is going to take too much time. Or we also encountered where sometimes it's hard to figure out exactly a nice point on the graph. So using this slope formula is a different method to calculate slope. So it's just another way to do the same thing. So we're going to draw the line that passes through the point -3, 5, and 4, 4. So we're going to start by plotting those points. We'll assume that these are going up by 1 on each axis. So -3 and 5 is going to be right there. And the point 4, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 is right there. So then I can draw my line through those 2 points. We've already looked at doing that, so we know how to do that. So there's my line to the edges of my paper, and I put arrows on both ends, and then it says to calculate the slope. So we know how to do that. We do our slope triangle. So from point to point, I'm going to go there and then over. So my slope there, which is my rise and my run. So I go down 1 and over 7. So my slope is -1/7. Sorry, my 7 is so long there. Anyway, so my slope, we know how to do that, okay? We can use this method, but like I said, it can get a little time consuming. So I'm going to show you there is a formula that we can use that is, so my slope formula I know already is rise over run. Kind of a mathy, geeky way of saying it is that's the change in my y over the change in my x, because my rise is my up and down, which is my y movement, and my run is my side to side, which is my x movement. This little triangle here, it's the Greek letter delta, and it means change in. Okay, so that means the change in my y, so how big is that y side of my triangle, over the change in the x. Okay, now another way of doing that is there's this slope formula, which says I'm going to take y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So to do that, what I do is I label each of my points. And it doesn't matter which you pick, but pick one of them to be point 1, and you're going to call it x1, y1, and the other one to be point 2, and you'll call it x2, y2. And then you're just going to sub the values into the formula. Okay, so if I have this line here, and I'm telling you that these points are on the line, what I'm going to do is I am going to choose to label them, and it doesn't matter which is which, but I am going to label them as x1, y1, and x2, y2. Now, my slope formula, this new way. Now, in this case, when the graph is already drawn, clearly it's faster to count, right? But sometimes you'll be given just the 2 points, and then you don't have to draw yourself a graph. You can just use this formula to calculate. So my y2, we're subbing in. My y2 value is 3. So I have 3. Take away my y1 value. So y1, we go over here, it's -8. Now, please make sure you watch your signs because the formula is y2 take away y1. So it's 3 take away -8. Okay, so make sure that you're careful with that. I don't know why I've got a little line above my 3 here. I'll try and erase that. Okay, so it's 3 take away -8. And then we want to go to our x2 point. So in my point 2, the x value is -2, take away -6. So you do have to be careful with your signs here. Okay, so you can take your calculator and plug that in, or I know that 2 negatives together make a positive, so this becomes 3 plus 8, and -2 plus 6, so that's going to be 11 over 4. So my slope is 11 over 4, okay? Now, like I said, in this case, where the graph is already drawn for you, it would be way quicker to just find the points and calculate or count rise and run, okay? But you don't always have that. Such is the case here, where I just give you the points, okay? So you could go ahead and take a piece of graph paper, draw your x and y axis, plot your points, -2, 5, and 3, 8. That should be a comma in between there. And then draw the line through them, counter rise, counter run, and do it that way. Or we can just use our formula, which says y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so x1, y1, x2, y2. Again, it doesn't matter if you wanted to make this x2, y2 and this x1, y1. It doesn't matter. Just make sure that you keep both the 2's in one and both the 1's in the other one. So my y2 value, if I look at my points, is 8. Take away my y1 value, which is 5, over 3. Take away -2. So I've got 3 over 3 plus 2, which is 5. So my slope is 3/5. So in that case, when I don't have a graph drawn, it is quite a bit quicker. So let's just do one more. Slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So again, x1, y1, x2, y2. I highly recommend that you actually write the x1, y1, x2, y2 down. Don't try to be lazy and skip it, because otherwise you mix and match and then you end up wrong, or you end up taking the x's first or something. Trust me. Okay, so y2 is the -3 value. So I've got -3, take away. My y1 is -1, so take away -1 over x2, which is 0, take away -1. So this is kind of a mess with our signs, right? So you can just plug it right into your calculator, -3, take away -1, or we know this is -3 plus 1 over 0 plus 1, which is -2 over 1, which is just -2. Okay, so that is basically using the slope formula. It's just another method of finding the steepness of the line, the slope of the line, when you don't have a graph. So what I've got here is basically just a bunch of points for you to calculate the slope through them. I'd also like you to graph them because it's a good practice. We're going to be getting into a lot of graphing. So it's good practice for you to be graphing the lines. If you want to do this on your own graph paper, maybe you want to draw a separate graph for each line. If you want to do it on here, I just use different colors or label the lines as A, B, C, D, E, F, G, so you know which one is which. But calculate the slope and draw a graph of the lines. You can go ahead and practice now.